Hey, I think I'm live. I know it's late, but I just came back from the movies and I have some things to share real quick for those people who are up. And if not, I guess you'll just get it in the morning. But I just wanted to, I feel encouraged. I'm a little emotional, but when I just went to go see Willy Wonka, and I encourage you guys to see it if you feel like you're supposed to. There's a ton of symbolism in the movie, um, and I'm gonna go over a little bit of it with you guys, just because it's so much. But I don't want to give everything away. Hey, but yeah, the whole movie is about the abilities that we have to imagine, to create, to manifest, to dream. Imagination is the big, big, big one on this movie. I thought it was going to be like a remake of the first one, but it is the prequel. So it's basically the story behind Willy Wonka before he was Willy Wonka on the Chocolate Factory. They are in wherever they're at. I choose to know the name of the place that this is all taking place. It's a made up place ish. But interesting. They're not allowed to imagine or dream in this place. They're fined if they imagine or dream. There's like signs about it, and they get fines for it by the police. Um, there are three families that are working together to basically rule the world, that seemingly look like they're on opposite sides, all three of them, but underground, they're all working together. Um, and the place that they work together happens to be underneath the main church of this place. I'm not going to say what's the thing, but so there is an elevator for underground tunnels underneath the church area or the Vatican, and that's where all these secrets are down there. And there's accounting things that expose everybody and that show who's all working together. They work with the police, they work with the church, they work with everybody. They own the place, and they actually call themselves, well, the good guys call them the cartel, or I think they might even call themselves the cartel. I choose to remember, but they have the corner market on. Hey, Ali, I haven't seen you in a minute. Um, on chocolate. Now, I choose to know exactly what chocolate represents in this thing, but in the movie, it's about chocolate. Ali, you should appreciate this with your background. But they have to tell you, they got to tell you all this stuff. What's interesting too is there's cherry blossoms tree. There's a big tree with cherry blossoms, which DC. Um, there is a lot. There's hope and restoration. Willy Wonka is the main character, and Will is basically his name. Will Wilbur Wonka. Now, the word will, if any of you have studied my teaching over the years on a frequency level, your will, I choose to remember if it's 250,000 or 400,000 times stronger than spirit. So we can override spirit with free will. And I have my awakening part kind of came into that whole understanding because I went to see a doctor, Dr. Lucky, and was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff. And I had never worked with frequency doctors. This is my first time. This is 15, 20 years ago. And just giving you a little backstory on the will thing. Um, he had me, he was doing testing on me. And when he gave me this piece of paper to read, as soon as I touched the piece of paper, my body went weak, and this machine made like this Pac-Man kind of like died sound, like like uh-oh. And he made this face like, oh no. And I was like, what's on the paper? And he was like, well, normally maybe people will read what's on the paper and they go weak, or whatever, but you just grabbed the paper, you just touched the paper and your body went weak. And I said, well, what's on the paper? I went to go look on the paper, and it was, I am loved, I am cherished, I have a call, I have a destiny, like all these things. And I said, what about it? And he said, well, your body doesn't agree with any of this. Like, you don't agree with this. And I was stumped because at that time I was conference speaking and I was in full-time ministry teaching on the importance of loving yourself and having a purpose and all of this stuff. So it was like, how embarrassing, and what a just what a terrible representation I was, that subconsciously didn't believe that about myself, but was teaching this. And I was just like, oh God, please don't ask me what I do for a living, because I was so embarrassed. I didn't want to say, I'm a minister and I teach this. And um, I was prepared to be like, I'm a pro bowler, but anyway, when the point is, I said, well, what do I do? This is what I told Dr. Lucky. And he said, give me the paper. And he took the paper and he wrote something on it. And then he handed it back to me. And I didn't go weak. And I was like, okay, what'd you do? And I look on the paper and he was like, now read the paper. And everything was the same. I am love. I am, I have a purpose. I'm beautiful, all this stuff. All he had did is wrote at the top, I will. And he said, I want you to say in the mirror every day, I will that I am beautiful. I will that I am strong. I will that I am loved. And I want you to say that to yourself until you come into agreement with it, until you believe it, till you be alive in it. And he said that your will, I believe he said your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. So we can override with our will, our free will. So Willy Wonka is will, right? And by the way, when this happened 15, 20 years ago or whatever, before I went to go see Dr. Lucky, not knowing I was going to see Dr. Lucky, I had 3 dreams in a row. And all the dream said was, it's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. And I just kind of shelved it. I even called my office and said, am I going somewhere to speak somewhere where there's a pastor Will? Is there a William, a Willie? Like who's Will? And nobody knew who Will was. So I just shelved it. And then I go meet with Dr. Lucky all these weeks later, and he gives me this experience. And then all I can hear is, it's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. Meaning, for what I was getting from this was, it was time for me to step into my power, to take my authority, to will myself, to be God in action, to remember, to align, to be in God and make moves in action with God. So, yeah, Will is the main character in the movie. And Wonka, I looked up Wonka. Wonka actually means quirky, imagination, eccentric, which aren't we all? We're all very unique, divine individuals created in the image of God, and with this opportunity to walk in the will of God through us, being God in action. And so yeah, there's all kinds of other things in here, lots of stuff, and in the end, we win, and there is hope. There's restoration in relationships. I literally cried a bunch of times. I was just sitting there going, I have to watch this multiple times, because the symbolism there's so much that I know I missed that I'm going to have to go back and watch it a few times. I'm going to buy the movie, but I haven't been this excited about symbolism and hope and love and all that stuff since, gosh, what was that movie with Wolverine Alley, where he is the guy who created the circus. Golly, that's like escaping me right now. He played, it was musical. I'm going to come back to that. It's going to come to me, and then I'm going to write it down. But it was all about imagination too, and creation, and one of my favorite movies. And then also Star Wars. Star Wars: The Awakening specifically was a really big one for me. Of course, The Matrix and all that, but this one was big. Yeah, what was the guy? What was that movie? It was like he wanted to do this circus. It's gonna come back to me. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a sing song movie, and I didn't know this one was a sing song movie too. Um, I'm gonna look up the lyrics to that song, Imagination, which is the last song that was sang. That is pretty powerful. And when I was leaving, I kept hearing the song in my mind, which is completely not relevant to this. Maybe, I'm sure it is, but maybe not exactly. Karen Carpenter's song, Close to You. It was like, I haven't listened to that in, God, since in the 70s. I was a little kid. My mom played it or something, but I kept hearing, um, on the day that you were born, the angels got together and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled something in your hair, and all of a sudden your eyes were blue. Um, yes, Hugh Jackman, thank you. Um, anyway, that movie. But and then she sings that I want to be close to you. They want to be close to you. I want to be close. I'm going to look it up. It's going to make sense to me. But personally, on a personal, tonight is a rough night for me. Um, I still have not done a video explaining the last few months with Bob. But I had a very tragic event happen in my family a year ago tonight that I haven't spoken about publicly. And I don't know if I will. And it's not been resolved. When maybe, I'm believing that it will be resolved. So it's a very triggering time for me. But when I went to the movies tonight, I actually went and ran into someone that's related to all of this. And it was very like triggering and un just sideswiped me, didn't realize what was happening. It kind of happened really fast, and I did. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it without saying everything. But when I went and that happened, I just went and sat down in the movie for a minute. I took in some air, took some breaths, I cried a little bit, and then I went back and got to talk to this person a little bit and say some things that I needed to say. And then I went back to the movie and we watched the movie, cried a lot. And one of the things that happened in the movie is, one of the things that Bob would talk about is when we would be in meetings, and if he would figure out a solution with a person, like he would find their snag and he would call it out. And that person, when they would recognize truth in what he was saying, the person will say, huh, or they'll say, And Bob would always say, when someone does that, that is a sign of Holy Spirit. That's a confirmation. That's like, or huh. That's the Spirit, the breath of God. And in the movie, believe it or not, there's a part where the girl says, huh. And Willy Wonka turns around and goes, you said, huh. And, a few minutes later, she does something else. And then he turned around and he was like, that means, I choose to remember how he said it. He said, like, oh, you said it again. That's a double, huh? Meaning, like, you're doing it. And that was a theme, and so it reminded me of Bob. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm literally going, like, what just happened in the front of the movie theater? Literally, the chances of that intersection of things in the time of this day, of this night, utterly miraculous. Absolutely. And it does give me a little bit of hope. And I swear to God, I swear that Bob's over there pulling some strings up there, doing something to work some things out. And there's no evidence of that at all as far as a resolve on what happened last year. But, and even I called my husband and told him what happened, and he's like, don't get your hopes up, like, blah, 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 blah. And I love him so much. And also, the whole movie was about staying in that it already happened and holding that imagination, holding that space of believing in what you choose and staying in the end of it already happening and agreeing with the end result and the hope of what you believe in. So I guess all of this to say is one of the big themes besides that is Willy Wonka kept saying, we can change the world. He said that many times. We can change the world. And that gives me hope. And I just wanted to come on fresh and raw in the middle of my situation and extend that hope to you and to remind you that there is hope and that you are the hope. We are the hope. And that we are the hope to change this world. And we are doing it. Even though we may not see evidence and maybe things look weird. But I went outside and I don't know, I guess I could say this, but Divinity texted me, Bob's daughter. Hadn't talked to her all day. We talk just about every day now. And she texted me about something with the OA because she's watching the OA. I hope she's okay with me saying this. Which the OA is freaking awesome. If you watch it, the first scene is pretty rough, and I almost didn't finish. But anyway, I called her to tell her what happened tonight because she knows what's going on. And literally, I'm standing outside while I'm talking to her and I'm telling her, I swear to God, your dad is pulling some strings here because there's no way this could have happened. Like, no way. And the sky is literally moving. Like, clouds are just moving so fast. And again, I'm literally talking about change. And my first Bob Jones, would talk about the winds of change. And I'm standing there and I'm thinking the winds of change. I mean, it is like blowing. And I'm so much that I was trying to catch it on video. And I said, Divinity, I'm going to get off the phone. She was like, do you need to go? Because catch the video. And I'm like, I'll call you right back. So I caught it on film and I'll put it underneath here. But she was like, oh my gosh, she sent me a picture back. And she said, our skies look so completely different. It's so crazy. And I was like, I know. I'm telling you, the winds of change are here. I'm telling you, something has shifted. I don't know what your situation is personally, but I'm here to tell you there's hope. Hang on. And also remember your power, your will. Stay in the end result, image what you choose, and out image everybody. Keep and hold the image. Whatever that image is, go over it in your head. Keep the imagination of it happening and happening and happening. And do not look to the left or to the right. Do not look at what's really appearing. Stay in the image of it already done, just like Neville Goddard or whoever would say, and hold that and out picture anything and anybody. It doesn't matter if they're underground or if they think they're running the world or if they're the 3% that are actually whatever. We are a majority. And we have authentic, genuine, electric power technology that creates. And they don't because they're inverted. So, I love you so much. It's very late. I'm sure I will have more about this. And if you guys get anything from this. I would love to get your details and your notes and your symbolism on the movie. And maybe we'll put all of our thinking caps together and come up with what the pieces are and all of this. But yeah, love you guys. Sending you deep, deep, big love to all of you. That was one of the things that Bob said for me to tell everybody is he said, do me a favor, love everybody for me. And I said, love everybody. And he said, love all the thousands and thousands of people for me. So I take that as a mission. I take that as a mandate. It was already my mandate from God, and it's yours from God. But it was just a reminder. And even more so, do I choose to embody love and to stay neutral and just love and to hold an out picture what may not be real. Because faith is having faith in the unseen and calling those things that are not as though they are. That's faith. Love you. Over and out. Talk soon.